Thank you. So lovely to be here at TEDx in the mountains as well. So awesome. Also, thank you for such a kind introduction. I'm kind of often backstage listening, and it's always nice to have the best side of ourselves put forward at the beginning. But there's always a little part of me that's back there, also though mindful of the truth that actually the guy stood in front of you here today is often full of nerves and I know struggle. And I've experienced many moments in my life of real self-doubt. So many of these moments. And for me, when I look back on those sort of times, those close shaves, and when I look at actually what I believe has really made the difference, what I see are two clear things. Two clear words that I believe define so much of my journey. But it's been learning how to master those two things that has changed everything. And it's this that I want to speak about with you guys today. So first, arguably the most important word, failure. And this is where I want to start. Stood in the rain at the foot of a windswept peak in the Welsh mountains back in the UK. Soaked, shivering, sick with nerves about what lay ahead over the next 11 months. And this was now day one of British Special Forces selection to try and join 21 SAS. We were a band of, I think it was some 90 odd recruits at this point, or volunteers as we always called. And if I'm honest, I'd never felt just so out of place, surrounded by these muscle-bound, huge soldiers. And I had that dreadful feeling that I'd actually volunteered for something that was just way beyond my capabilities. The first time that I tried for the SAS after 6 months of beat-up, I was failed, or returned to unit, as they called it. And the raw truth is simple. I wasn't fast enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough. And that truth hurt. And people often don't know that I failed Special Forces selection first time. We all like to gloss over our failures a little bit. But the truth is, for me, my failures in my life far outweigh the successes, many times over, whether it's, failed expeditions or failed projects, or even just those near-death moments that definitely still come to me in the night sometimes. But here's the thing, those failures they've also made me, and they've built the resilience, and they've forced me to adapt and to get stronger, inside as well as out. Because as you guys know, there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut to our goals in our life that somehow magically bypasses failure. Failure's not like that. Failure's a doorway. It's a doorway that you've got to go through if you're gonna get to where you really are aiming for. And as a young soldier, I was determined that I was gonna retry for the SAS, to go through that notorious selection process once more. And such a big part of me dreaded it. I dreaded the pain, the blisters, that fatigue. But I reapplied, went through it all again. And this time, by the end, all those many months later, from those 90 volunteers, only 4 of us were still standing. And here's the thing, though. The interesting part is that out of the 4 of us there at the end, cut down to that, 3 of those 4 had failed at our first attempt. But we got it second time round. In other words, without that first devastating failure in here, there would have been no success here. And the message for me has always been clear. You got to embrace failures. Don't run from them. Look at them and know their role. Look at them as essential markers. As I said, those doorways that you've got to pass through. stepping stones to the good stuff. Because one thing that failure isn't is the end. It's really the beginning. Or as Winston Churchill put it way better than I can, success is really going from one failure to the next failure with no loss of enthusiasm. So that's the first thing, understanding that role of failure in our lives. But it's only half the story. Now we've got to turn it into something meaningful, something powerful. And that's where the fire comes in. The fire to keep moving against the odds, to hang on, to endure beyond what is maybe considered normal. And the question always is, well, how do you do that? How do we access this fire inside in those big moments? Because sometimes in life, as you know, that fire inside gets beaten. And sometimes it's hidden. Sometimes it's barely like an ember. But the fire will always be there. And the fire in our lives can change everything. And I remember when I was on Mount Everest, it was a year that the mountain claimed 4 climbers' lives whilst we were up there. Two died of the cold. 2 fell to their death. You know, it's just what high mountains do. They kick the hell out of you. You know, they ask that question, what are you made of when you're hurting? And I'll never forget the final hours on this mountain. We were at 28,000 feet. We've been climbing now for over 55 days up there. Minus 40 degrees. The dark ice face of the final 2,000 feet of the peak looms above. And I'm terrified. You know, the next 24 hours I know is going to change my life one way or the other. I know that. But after so long at high altitude, all those many weeks at this stage, I also know I'm weak. I know it. I can feel it. And mentally as well, just shot. And I reach this point. I'm in this chest-deep powder snow in this steep couloir that's just, just never-ending. And I remember I keep sliding back. Every step keeps sliding back. And I reach a point where I'm no longer sure I can do this. I really, really am not. And I've got this voice in my head just keeps telling me this. And slowly I'm bowing to that voice. But remember, sometimes it's an ember. Ember is all it takes. So I keep going. I make this decision that I'm gonna keep going. To never give up. N-G-U, write it in here, moving. And finally, eventually, that summit came. And I just remember collapsing to my knees as a wreck. But I've made it. And we watched the dawn rise up over Tibet. And I was just aware I was standing somewhere truly special. Truly special. It's that icy roof of the world, as they call it. But even though it was ice that was up there, the truth is it was the fire that got me there. And I look at my life, it's the fire that's been my most valuable weapon. Not talent, limited, not skills, growing, not knowledge, small, but resilience. Resilience. And if all you take from, this session together, know it. Know the power in your life of unrelenting, unwavering resilience. Because when the storms come, and they do come, they always come. When the storms of life come, it's those very storms that actually make us strong. And as with all dark nights, when we go through them sometimes, you just got to hang on in. Hang on in there, doggedly. Dawn will always come. The light always wins. And the fire, as you guys know in nature, fire, all powerful. Two words that if we can master them can truly empower our lives. How to deal with those failures and how to find and use and harness and drive that fire. And I guess really what I'm trying to say through simple stories is pretty straightforward. First of all is that I'm no hero, truly. You know, like I said at the beginning, I struggle often. I'm no stranger to the doubts, no stranger to the fears. But I know the weapons that serve me best. And they always come from here. You know, within, not without. So for you guys, remember, you are made amazing. You truly are. You're capable of so much. So stand tall, own it. And NGU. Never give up.